From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and I got none other than the Don of Cape Cod himself, the man. You guys already know who it is. Do I have to say his name? His name's sitting right there. That's the man, Jeff Dawson, baby. What's going on? It's always good to see you. East meets West, Magic versus Bird. You know how it goes. Hey, have you been watching Winning Time?
I have not.
Well, you're going to have to. Well, I wish I need you to, because I need to see your critique about it. And I think that that is going to have us kind of at odds for a little while, because I know it's going to bring back memories, because I think that everybody needs to be reminded of the real holy war that's between the Celtics and the Lakers. This isn't, it ain't never going to be, hey, those are my buddies right there. It's never going to be like that, except for Magic and Bird.
Back in those days, it was amazing because, we met each other once a year, and it was always Friday night on CBS. It was there was no cable back then. And so, it was, the world stopped. It was must-watch TV, and, you found yourself either in front of the TV or at a local watering hole getting ready for the game. And it will never be duplicated those days. Never.
And, man, I'm telling you, and hopefully we can get this one on in the LeBron era, because I don't think LeBron's going to really be officially a Laker until he actually gets a Celtics series. Seriously, he'll go down in the books as who he really is to me at the end of the day. I feel like he is the modern day Will Chamberlain. Honestly, you're so good, you're bad. You know what I mean? That's what it is, man. But we're not here to talk. It's not a basketball show. This is a football show. So let's get to the show. All right. So up first, we got the Minnesota Vikings, the defending NFC champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, on Thursday Night Football. We got a spread of 7.5 to the Eagles as the favorite, over under of 48.5. Jeff, I'm going to let you kick this one off. What are your thoughts on this game, and who you taking to win?
I remember we were talking backstage about this game, and last year it was either a Thursday or a Monday night game. It might have been a Monday night game early in the year. Minnesota came in undefeated, like 2-0, 3-0, same with Philly, something like that. And Philly was like 2.5, 3.5 point favorites. And I grabbed the points there, and Darius Slay just shut out Jefferson, and Philly just absolutely rolled. This year, the Vegas was opened it at 7 to see which way the public would take it. It's gone to 7.5. I bought the hook, took Minnesota to 8. Now, with that being said, I always talk about this with Minnesota. I thought there'd be some regression this year in this regards. 2 years ago, they led the NFL in losses in one-possession games. Last year, they led the NFL in wins in one-possession games. Baker Mayfield took care of business last week in Minnesota. Now they got to jump on, jump on over to Philly, who took a 16-0 lead in Foxborough on Sunday, took their foot off the gas. And listen, they got outplayed for 3 periods from Mac and the Patriots. Defense played great. I really think they were going through the motions. I expect Philly to win on Thursday. I really do, especially on a short week. But I'm grabbing the Vikings +8. Hopefully they keep it competitive. Hopefully Jefferson remembers what happened last time they played this team. Cousins obviously going to have to win the turnover battle. They're going to have to play some ground control. Don't go in there expecting first 1 to 31 wins here. The under-over currently right now it's circa 48. Vegas has this one at basically 28-20. I'm hoping the Vikings can get to 21 or 23 here. So I'm taking the points, Pop. I expect an Eagles win, but a Philadelphia Vikings cover.
Well, I'm kind of on the same page as you, and I just really am doing it because I feel like it's going to be a big amount of money that they're going to throw in on Philadelphia. Philadelphia has the glow of a super team. Let's just keep it real. They got the best sides of the ball on both sides when it comes to the trenches. And there's a lot of confidence you can have with the Eagles going into this game. But I feel like when you're coming off of 3 days of rest, you know, and you played in a really, really physical game with the Patriots. The Patriots didn't go out there and play patty cake with them, okay? But we know Minnesota's coming out of a probably even more physical game with Tampa Bay. So these are two tired teams, in my opinion. They shouldn't be tired this early in the year, but 3 days after playing those really tough games that came down to the final plays and situations and things like that, it's going to be a little bit to turn it on very early. So I think the better should really angle themselves at the under. But I also think that when you get down to the nitty gritty of everything, in reality, this will be the game that I feel like a lot of people are going to feel like this is their slam dunk, and it's going to wind up not being their slam dunk. It's going to wind up being just like last night's game where it gets a little too spicy for the pepper. So I'm going to have to go ahead and do the same thing as you. I didn't buy the hook because I'm good with the 7.5, but I took it at 7.5 right here. So that's where I'm going with my end of this right here. So I like it. I like it a lot. I think that this one is you kind of playing with the system a little bit, but I just truly do feel Kirk Cousins should have a much improved game, even though he had a really good game Sunday, stat wise, you know what I mean, yard wise and everything like that. I know because he's on the bench of my fantasy team. So, but I couldn't believe a guy threw for 335 and he still only had 13 points. I was like, this is awful. But yeah, they should be in this game. I'm with you, Jeff. I'm not going to go ahead and jump the gun and say, okay, this is going to be the dog bet of the week, but it's going to be a game that's going to be covered. And I feel like Philadelphia wins by four or less. You know what I mean? It's either between 1 or 4 points that Philly wins by. It's going to be a really close game. It's going to be good theater for everybody. And it's going to be on Amazon Prime Thursday night. So let's go ahead and move forward to our next game, which is going to be this one right here. And that's going to be one that is a very 50-50 game, in my opinion. You got the Packers coming in here 1-0, the Falcons 1-0. We got a +1 spread to the Falcons going into the game, but the Falcons we know will probably be the game time favorite. So that's where we have to put our heads at. And then we have the over under 41.5. And it's funny because you have a team that scored 38 points last week in the Packers. Now, I had a feeling Jordan Love was going to be a much better player than a lot of people wanted him to be. They wanted him to fail. They wanted it to be look, they got rid of Rodgers and they can't get it right. Well, it went kind of like the way that Rodgers transition with Favre went. Oh, we just had to get you out the building, bro, for us to really go ahead and unveil some things real quick. Jordan Love is an upgrade at the quarterback position. That was proven last night because he can get out, he can scoop, he can do a lot of things. He's versatile at the position. I always liked Jordan Love coming into the NFL. I just thought that going to Green Bay wouldn't probably be the fit because he was going to have to wait. But it shows that Green Bay still has that old school mentality where they can be patient. And I just feel like Jordan Love did enough in last week's game to really go ahead. I'm not saying he's arrived, but he's a better quarterback than Desmond Ridder. And Desmond Ridder, I was looking at the numbers, and your running back cannot be your lead receiver every single game. No Drake London gets no catches. Kyle Pitts gets about 2 catches, and that's about it. But then from there, it was all about the running game. So what we're seeing right here with Ridder is you have a Charlie check down, okay? And that's what he's good at. And he's a game manager. So all he is out there to make sure that he just doesn't mess things up. And so pretty much if you're looking at Atlanta to be a high-powered offense this year, it's going to be pretty tough because they don't have the quarterback that's capable of really leading them to being a high-powered offense unless they want to give Bijan the ball and Algier the ball 50 times a game. And I know they're not going to do that. So I truly feel like what happens here, it comes down to coaching and it comes down to scheme. And I'm going to take the Packers to win this game, Jeff, and I'm taking them with the minus 105. I think that they absolutely, you know what? I don't think this game is going to be that close either, to be honest with you. I think that they're going to do the same exact thing that they just did to the Bears. And we'll see how it goes. But Atlanta does have a much better defense than the Bears do. So I'll give them that. Jeff, your thoughts?
An opening number of a pick with a 40.5. People remember what they saw last. And again, Jordan Love looked great. Don't forget, no Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs was a question mark. He had a good game. Aaron Jones, they got him a couple times in the open space. And then next thing you know, potential hamstring. It was a blowout. They didn't play him in the fourth quarter. So both Watson and Jones will be question marks here. Currently at the Circa now, Green Bay 1.5 with a 40.5. Again, Vegas is telling us 21-20. First one to 21 or 23 wins this game. I followed your lead. I was impressed with Jordan Love. I was impressed with their defense. But again, last week, the road teams were 10-4 straight up. And so I hats off to Atlanta. They get to stay home back-to-back weeks. It would be more impressive with Green Bay going to Chicago than going to Atlanta and pulling off 2 wins again with Jordan Love. I followed your lead here. I think it's going to be a close game. Bijan definitely looked like Bijan. Algier came in, got a couple touchdowns as well. So he who wins the turnover battle again will probably most likely win this game. So I got Green Bay eking this one out with you on the money line as well.
All right, let's go to a division rivalry game, and this is going to be the Bengals and the Ravens. You got the Bengals coming in here 0-1 home opener, and then you do have the Ravens coming in here 1-0. We got a spread of -3 over and under 46.5 for the opening line. I will say this. I truly do feel that what happens with this game is going to be a lot of back and forth betting on each side, okay? There's going to be people that are going to be confident that the Bengals should bounce back and have a big game because you know what? At the end of the day, the Ravens had a gimme spot against a building team, and they didn't look that good. Let's just keep it real. They didn't look great at all. Lamar looked rusty, and he even admitted that he was very rusty, 169 yards. He still led him in rushing and everything like that, but that's something that has to be cleaned up. This is why they paid you all the big bucks because they want you to be their quarterback and not their slash back. And I do feel that they do have themselves a star in the making, and I know I'm kind of being biased about it, but that's because he's on my team, Zay Flowers, and I'm still kicking myself right now because I had Drake London, Mr. Donut himself, and then you got Zay on the bench with 17.7 points. I lose by 11. If you go ahead and put Zay in the game, I win by 6. So it happened. So I'm griping a little bit today, Jeff. You know that. So we have a team that did good enough on defense, but I didn't think that they played that Ravens defense that we're all used to. It's just that they were going against a rookie quarterback in his first game, and it was a deer in the headlights with CJ. Let's keep it real. You know, he showed some good traits, but it was a learning experience. It's a work in progress. Let's keep it real. And I truly do feel how we go into this game. I know that you're going to probably be like, Pop, don't even start this. But I'm going to keep it real. We both know that Burrow is going to take about another week or two to really be Joe Cool because he didn't get any time in. He was been rehabbing the whole preseason. And it was obvious of that when he stepped on the field Sunday. Yes, the weather did play a part in it, but we all know Cleveland has been the house of horrors for Joe Burrow. And it was just a game that kind of called for everything that happened. Joe Burrow came out very flat at the quarterback position because it's going to take some time. and the weather being as bad as it wasn't good for him either. And he couldn't get much going with Joe Mixon and the crew. And Jamar Chase was held right where he needed to be held at, but he couldn't get anything from T. Higgins as well either. So it should be a different game because the weather is going to clear up for this one. It's a home opener, but let's all go ahead and remember, in the Joe Burrow era, they've started every single season 0-2, except for, I think, Joe's rookie season. But since Joe has stepped on the scene as one of the more dominant quarterbacks in the league, they've lost their first 2 games of the season. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going off the math, but I feel like they're a team that's going to need a little bit more time. They're not a team that you can still see them as a good team moving forward, a playoff team moving forward, but sometimes people are just slow cookers, and I feel like they're another group of slow cookers. So I'm going to take the Ravens in the spot, plus 150, but I will say this before I hand it off to you, Jeff. The Bengals have a legit good defense. Pratt, Hendrickson, those guys are really, really good players, and they need to get more pub as well, too. Hubbard, those guys were absolutely nasty against the Browns, but we'll see. We'll see. Your thoughts on this one, Jeff?
My initial numbers here kind of eye-opening. Cincy -1 with a 52. There was a corrected number down to 46.5. So Vegas initially, our spreadsheet has them scoring some points. I saw Joe going through the motions. Anytime you brought it up on Twitter on Sunday, anytime someone got close to him, he was just throwing it away. T. Higgins with the big goose egg. Chase with 4 or 5 catches. I'm mixing a couple of splashes here and there, but it was a game that, with the weather conditions, both quarterbacks didn't look good. Again, wasn't expecting a lot out of the Bengals. Both, I think, were on the Browns there. Now you move into the home opener. I saw a stat on Twitter that Lamar Jackson era catching 3.5 or more is undefeated against the spread. I went the other way. I bought the hook, took the Bengals down to 2.5. Wasn't going to play the money line. Wouldn't be shocked, honestly, if Baltimore won the game here. Going off my initial number of a 50, what did I say, 52, you're basically looking at a first one to 27 wins this game. I'm hoping it's Joe. They'll get Chase and Higgins off early. Again, what will Lamar do? Hats off to Zay Flowers. Absolutely love the guy. BC alum. No J.K. Dobbins. So now we go back to the Gus bus. We go back to Justice Hill. They brought up Melvin Gordon off the scrap heap. But again, will Mark Andrews play? Didn't play in the opening week. So Isaiah Lively was the play there. So expect a very competitive, both defenses, hard hitting, leaning Bengals by a field goal here, but would not be shocked at all to see the Ravens plus the 3.5, or even an outright win there, Pups.
All right. So I'm going to let you go ahead and kick this one off. And what are your thoughts on the Seahawks 0-1 going against the Lions 1-0 for the first time? And I'm going to have to look it up, but this is the first time they're 1-0 in week 2 in some time. And they're a 5.5 point favorite going into this week's game, 50.5 over and under. Jeff, what are your thoughts on this game, and who wins this game?
I had a 5.5 with a 51. Now it's a 47 with a 6. Tyler Lockett in concussion protocol. I mean, this was a Seahawks team leading at half that just got manhandled by the best show on surf, by Puka Nuku, whatever you want to call him, Tutu Atwell, Mr. Donald himself. I mean, just manhandled that offensive line and Geno Smith. Now, what I did here is I got cute. I bought the half point. I took the Seahawks to 6. Don't forget the Lions with a couple extra days rest. Their place will be rocking. I expect the Lions to win this game. I'm just hoping the Seahawks can keep it close with the +6 here, Pops, but would not be surprised at all if the Lions get out early. Should be a big Gibbs day. Should be a big Montgomery day. St. Brown will probably have a bazillion catches. It's just a matter of, is it the first half Seahawks team that shows up, or the second half. If it's that second half Seahawks team that shows up, this game will get ugly early, Pops.
Well, Jeff, I am with you on this. I feel like what we do here is we put ourselves in a position where we have a very and sorry, there you guys go, Jeff, +6 buying a point. So I feel like Geno Smith, the slipper, the glass slipper he was wearing, it's broken. And I think that we're about to be introduced to the real Geno Smith. We're about to be introduced to the guy who's been a backup for the last decade. And Pete Carroll and the front office just got to keep it real. They played it cheap. They overspent for a lot of years on a lot of players. And they're trying to get a team together where they don't have to overspend on players. Because let's keep it real. When Seattle's not in the playoffs, when Seattle's not winning a lot of games, they're one of the more irrelevant teams in the NFL. Let's keep it real. All right, let's just be honest about that. Yeah, they got a great fan base, but those people live in Washington, So, when they're good, people in California claim them, people in Oregon claim them. But when they're not good, they're just another team in the NFL. And I feel like the Seahawks are still trying to build something with what they have left with Pete Carroll. And so instead of enriching Pete Carroll with a great quarterback, they give him a guy who's just good enough. And he has probably a top 5 wide receiver core. And your quarterback can't be like this with a top 5 wide receiver core. Yes, the Rams did a great job playing defense, but Geno was ineffective as well, too, at the same time. And so there's a lot of thoughts that you have about the Seahawks team going into the game. But I'm going to give them another chance this week because I feel like the Lions are going to be a little bit too much of America's favorite. Everybody feels like right after you've seen a team get dismantled the way that the Seahawks did, they'll walk into Ford Field and absolutely get crushed because, the Lions got themselves a 1-point victory over a shorthanded Chiefs team on Thursday Night Football. First game of the season, pageantry games. And this is what I keep going. We're not going to win a Super Bowl in week 1. You win, it's a week by week process. So this is another game. This is a new game. And this is a different type of scenario. And with the history Seattle has against Jared Goff, they should be in good shape defensive-wise because they know his tendencies. And I just don't feel like the Lions have that absolute playmaker. They got a lot of really, really good working players. They're all good moving parts. But who's going to step up and be the man on Sunday? That's my biggest question. You know what I mean? And so I feel like DK Metcalf, Geno Smith, JSN, they're going to be big on Sunday. But hopefully they can get a little bit of Zach Charbonnet going as well, too, because I'm thinking about starting him. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm taking the Seahawks with you +5.5. And as I said before, I'm going to say it right here on this show. I feel like Seattle will probably be one of the more popular money line dog bet plays of the week as well, too. Let's just keep it real because Detroit, when's the last time they won a home opener? Think about that part as well. Trends stay trending in the NFL. And we both know this, Jeff. So we'll have to see because with the Lions, it's a show and prove situation week in and week out, in my opinion.
I agree.
All right. So we are now at our point of taking our first break of the show. And so when I get back and when Jeff gets back, we're going to jump into some more early games. And you guys stay tuned to the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And we'll be right back to you.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
We're back with the NFL Bet Exchange. Week two. So, week 2, as we always know, Jeff, week 2 is the most unpredictable week in all NFL football. 2 and 3, it doesn't matter. A team can just use a great example real quick. Giants, you can lose a game by 40 last week, and they're going to give you a gimme game the next week to improve. But that doesn't mean that you're going to win. That just means that you got an easier mission. But we're going to have to see who you truly are. So week 2, you can get a team that's going to be drafting 3rd and beating you by 30 points because they're just in a groove. It's always about everybody's going to get in the groove at some point during the season in the NFL. Are you going to get it early? Are you going to get it in the middle of the year? Or are you going to get it late in the year? That's always the game. That's always the story. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into this first game that we have here for our second portion of the show. You know what I mean? Second quarter, as we like to say, right, Jeff? All right, so let's go ahead and get into this Colt. No, not the Colts. Yeah, it is the Colts. The Colts and Texans game. Or is it Bears-Bucks? It's Bears-Bucks. Sorry about that. And Bears-Bucks this should be a fun one because you have a Bears team that's coming in here 0-1. And we have a Bucks team that's coming in here 1-0. I'm so sorry about that, Tampa Bay fans. Let's fix that for you. But, once again, the Bucks shocked the system. And it's funny because one of my good friends who's a big Bucks fan, he thought I was still in Vegas, Jeff. So he wanted me to put down a bet for him for Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. I said, are you sure? It's the Bucks, bro. He said they're going to go into the game today and they're going to win. And they're going to win the division. And I said, all right, man, cool. Yeah, that's good little fan talk. That's cool. What do? They walked right in there and won the game. Why? Because Baker Mayfield is always a good opening act. Let's keep it real. Baker's going to get 2 wins in September because everybody's still getting acclimated to things. But maybe we could say this, that Baker turned the corner as a quarterback. As much as he's been through the last 18 months, 14, he should know a lot about how the NFL process works. Has he ever had a Mike Evans? That keeps being my question. No. What happened on Sunday? He took advantage of having Mike Evans. Mike Evans goes ahead and scores a critical touchdown in that game. He made life very easy for Baker Mayfield, because he's a guy that is a walking mismatch. He's never had this type of receiver. Yeah, he had OBJ, but OBJ is a diva. Let's keep it real. He had nothing with the Rams. Cooper Kupp wasn't there. And come on, we all know what happened in Carolina. DJ Moore literally quit the team while he was there. So now they're a team that doesn't have expectations. And that's when Baker's at his absolute best. When they say, oh, riding him off, get Baker out of here. Oh, they're just setting it up so he can be the next quarterback next year. They're just worried about getting the Caleb Williams and the Sam Hartmans and all these guys that are sitting in college right now. But Baker Mayfield was the first pick in the draft, okay, for a reason. It wasn't because he could throw the ball 80 yards down the field and he's 6'7" and it has Hollywood looks. The guy is a gamer. The guy wants to win football games. He was a winner at Oklahoma University. So Baker going in here and winning game 1 of the season was no surprise when you really look at it on the long scope of things, because he's supposed to be winning these games. He was picked number 1, Jeff. So at the end of the day, the Bucks, to me, have pretty much did what we said they were going to do. We had this conversation, Jeff, that you can't sleep on the Bucks because they have a coach who's won a Super Bowl recently. Yeah, he was the coordinator, but still, he's won a Super Bowl recently. And they haven't missed the playoffs with Bowles as the coach. Okay? Everybody else has been building up for the last few years in the NFC South. The Buccaneers have already established things. And when you've already established things, you can be tougher to beat. So going into this game Sunday, this is another show and prove situation for me when it comes down to the Chicago Bears. The Bears, they excite you because they have an exciting quarterback. But are they ready to really make the next step moving forward? Is this coach the right coach? Is this offense the right offense for Justin Fields? It's just too many questions with the Bears. I can't risk it. I'm taking the Bucks with the minus 150 in their home opener. Jeff, your thoughts?
Like the Giants, the Bears just going to erase opening day. Maybe the change of scenery, the high expectations. No, Aaron Rodgers was supposed to beat Jordan Love. It was just a bad game. And now you go to a Tampa team. You go to Tampa, their home opener. Again, they go into Minnesota. Most thought they were going to lose. Well, they spring the upset. Now they're expected to win. I went the opposite here. I bought the hook. I took the Bears plus the 3.5 on the bounce back. Now, again, you nailed it, Pops. That's up to you. When you're not expected to win, it's a free swing. No one expected Baker Mayfield and the vaunted Bucks with no Tom Brady to walk into Minnesota and win. They hung around and they pulled off the upset. Now they're expected to win. So which Baker Mayfield do we get? And, again, I was very not surprised. I liked what I saw from the Tampa defense as well. So now if Justin goes in there and throws 3 picks, basically, looking for Roshan Johnson looked real good, by the way. He looked real good. Mooney got a touchdown. Komet, nowhere to be found, basically. They need DJ Moore. So Fields better be working hard to get DJ Moore involved early and often. Herbert, Roshan Johnson, find Cole Komet, send Mooney to the mailbox, The defense is going to play a lot better, and that's been their Achilles heel. Their 2 biggest Achilles heel, their defense and their offensive line. Justin's got to look to the left to his first read, to his second read, and not think I got to run and, save I want to play in week 5, 7, and 13, and not get, cheap shot, this, that, the other thing. So I'm going to buy the hook. Would I be shocked if the Bucks won and started 2-0? No. Would I be shocked if the Bears lost 38-0? I would be. Expect a bounce back effort. This game will be decided who wins the turnover battle. Whoever wins the turnover battle will win this game, Pops.
Right. And another one, just for fair warning for a lot of our people that, do survivor contests and things like that, the Bucks will probably be a team that is going to get a lot of survivor pool play picks this week. Let's just put that into play. You know what I mean? That's how I'm kind of feeling about this one. But we'll see. I'll see how the tickets look by the time we get to kickoff. Because I can say this, that Superbook was very helpful in showing tickets, last week. And it was crazy because a lot of those games they showed tickets in wound up being the games that were like, okay, this game got a little crazy. And the Bucks, it wasn't a surprise to the betting to the better in the Bucks win. It was a surprise to the media. It was a surprise to the novice, the people that are just watching football on Sunday. But for us bettors, we knew that was a live game. That's like a race 5 over at Belmont. And that 7-1 is live. And that 3-2 is kind of a joke. You know what I mean? Because everybody and their mama at the track want a sure thing. You can't chase. That's the biggest discrepancy in the NFL. Don't chase the sure things. You got to chase the ones that kind of make you think a little bit sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's why I love this game. Let's talk about the Colts and the Texans, Jeff. I'm going to let you kick this one off. We got two winless teams here. No surprise there. They were expected to lose last Sunday. They're division rivals. Who wins this game and why?
My opening number had Texans -1 with the 40. It is now flipped at Circa, where Indianapolis is a 1-point favorite with the 40. First one to 21 wins this game. What did I see last weekend? Houston played a real good first half, and then the Ravens kind of leaned on them and took care of business the way they were supposed to. A Colts team that played a little grab ass early, then a little back and forth. You saw what Anthony Richardson was all about. He had a Russian touchdown. He made some throws. The completion rate, I think it was at around 67%. So the opportunity was there to win. They just didn't pull it off here. Bought the hook, took the Colts to +2. Keep an eye on the injury report. Is Richardson going to play? He talked in the presser after, said he was more upset about the loss than his knee. He'll be fine. They have a decent backup with Gardner Minshew, which I don't think the Colts will trade him to the Jets, which would be a good move for the Jets probably at this point down the road as well. But again, wouldn't be shocked if Houston pulled this one off. It'll be which defense is better. Again, I'll say this on a lot of these games. If Richardson plays like we expect, how many turnovers does he have versus the rookie with Houston? But we're going to take the points here, Pops. 21-20, either which way would get us to the winner's circle, Pops.
Man, I love it. All right. So I'm going to actually be a little different here this week. And I think that, Jeff, you got a great analyst on this one. And I think that's really a lot of thinking of the sharper players because you're a sharp player, very sharp player. So that's a sharp, wise guy play in a sense, because when you look at the Texans, you're going into this game, Texans are going to be very, very pumped up because it's a home game. It's a guaranteed sellout because they got their rookie, their face of the franchise. They got their big-time defensive player who's seen as the next great edge rusher. And then they got the home cooking with the head coach, a guy that they cheered for a decade, in D'Amico Ryan. So, the Texans got some excitement going into this game. It's going to be exciting for them. So the best thing for the Colts to do is to go in here and play spoiler. But I truly feel that it's a work in progress with Richardson. Let me tell you why. First half, 15 for 19, 169 yards, touchdown. He finishes up the game. I think I'm getting the stat now. He finished up the game, and it wasn't good after the 15-19. When the game got to where the game needed to, when the game got tough, it got tough for him. You know what I mean? And I know Houston probably doesn't have the defense yet that can really, have some say. But here goes my point. He went 15 for 19. After that, he wound up going 9 for 18. So he was damn near at 90% at that point. By the time he finished up, he was at 65% on the completion rate. It looks good, but when it came down to the clutch moments of the game, he was only a 50% thrower. And that's something that you have to look at. He's a work in progress. And what happened was the Jaguars knew that they're in a game that they're going to win. They knew it. And they knew that let's just get to the fourth quarter, and he's not going to know we're sending at him anymore. We're going to make this real vanilla for him early so it's going to look like – and we have to also factor in that there was a fluky defensive touchdown in that game as well, too. You know what I mean? So it made things a little spicy with the pepper. So now you got a game where everybody's going to look at this as they top dog of the week, Jeff. And this is where you're going to get in trouble. Okay? This is where people get in trouble at. And I'm telling you right now, the Texans are going to be ready to run through a wall after watching that game film and knowing how much they left on the field Sunday. There was so much to be desired with the Texans. And you know it, Jeff. You know that. And so I think that they're going to have a really good step-up game here. CJ is going to be very impressive to the home crowd. It's not going to be all season, but this is the game where he can showcase how good he truly is against his Colts defense that is kind of shaky, kind of watery. You know what I mean? They're kind of holy, and we'll see how it goes. And I really do feel that the Texans win their home opener. I'm taking them with the minus 120. I think it's a strong play, but this is another 50-50 play by everybody. We all know this, Jeff. We all know this. So we'll see.
Absolute coin flip game.
Yep. So, pick a side. And usually in a game like this, a guy like me likes to play the over-under. Let's keep it real. Just watch the scoreboard and get the hell out the way. You know what I mean? But taking the winner, I'm going to roll with the home team. But Richardson's impressive. I know Richardson's going to get a lot of people excited. I thought I saw Cam 2.0 in that first half, 15 for 19, 160 yards. I said, I've been at this movie before where he said you had a quarterback that's not going to be this good, and he winds up being this good. So they knew, their scouting department knew exactly what they're doing. And let's keep it real. They haven't missed on a quarterback in forever with the Colts. When they draft the first rounder, that guy's a good quarterback. Even Jeff George, with how bad they were, was decent and still got paid later on in life, even though it was Al Davis, but he still got paid. You know what I mean? So that's my guessing with that. All right, so let's get on to a game that is going to be probably the most. I think they're going to get the biggest bet handle for this because the spread. And that's going to be the Raiders coming in 1-0, going against a Bills team that's now 0-1. I don't know if we all expected this, but it was a possibility. And we know what happened last night. Josh Allen literally went ahead and became a high school quarterback again and thought that it was okay just to throw the ball down the field to anything. You know what I mean? He's playing go 7-up, and they're trying to play an actual football game. So, there was just a lot of different issues that are going on in Buffalo right now that are not attractive to anybody who's really dealing with these teams at the end of the day. It's just something that is not right in Buffalo. And we talked about this off air, how, Josh Allen is just regressing. It's very simple. And whatever is happening to him, they need to fix it because it's starting to become a mental thing. I was looking at him last night. Every time he took off his helmet, he just said, damn, I can't figure it out. What am I doing wrong? The thing is, you're thinking too much. That's what you're doing wrong. Before, you was a free wheeler. You just went about it. You went off the field. You were a good gambler in the Phillip Rivers mode of quarterback. You know what I mean? And now I feel like his confidence is waned. If you're not confident at the quarterback position, you can't lead anybody to victory. And last night, he was not a confident quarterback. I've seen Brady throw 3 picks in a game and still keep his head up and say, we still going to win the game. I've seen Manning do the same thing. Drew Brees, all these guys have dealt with the adversity in a game, and they've been able to step it up, take their team to the finish line, win the game. He literally let down the defense last night because the defense played themselves an epic game, which is kind of overshadowed by what the Jets did last night because that was a hell of a defensive performance on their end as well, too. But Buffalo's defense might have been better, to be honest with you, because they really didn't give up anything. And they took Rodgers out in the first 4 plays. They set up everything for Josh Allen to have a great night, and he couldn't deliver. So how can we trust a team to be a 9.5-point favorite going into their opening home game, knowing that they lost their opener last year by 20 points at home against a team that they said they weren't going to beat in the Steelers? And the Raiders are coming into this game confident. They cocky. Oh, we're 1-0. We just got to win, even though it was a fluky win because somebody missed the extra point early in the game, and we were fortunate enough to have the ball at the end to get the stops and then have the ball at the end of the game to run out the clock. They won that. That was an old school 1991 Patriots win over at the old stadium, Jeff. You know that. You know that. You know that was an old school win, and that's how bad teams win games. The Raiders just showed that they're not that great of a team the way that they won that game. They had to sneak up out of there. They had to edge that game. And so coming into this one, you know that it's going to be an oversight and an over bet. And I truly feel that the Raiders are going to really come in here and actually shake up some things a little bit. They'll probably not win the game, but they'll make it really close. But knowing how Josh McDaniels has fared in Buffalo the last decade or so, it's been a house of horrors for him calling a game as well too. So, you know, this is almost a play at your own risk. But as I told Jeff in the back, do not look at this 9.5 and think that 9.5 is going to stay there. You better get it today, because by Friday it's a 7.5 to a 7, because everybody's looking at the way the Bills played last night, and they're going to factor that into doubling down on the Raiders. I'm keeping it real with you. But the Raiders are probably going to be fool's gold, but they're going to make it a very close game, in my opinion. So that's where I'm going with that one, Jeff. Your thoughts?
You know, anything that could go wrong for the Bills in the second half did. We've talked at length about the regression of Joshua Kelly and how bad they played in the second half, and then after the Hamlin incident. Yesterday, they clearly halftime lead and no Aaron Rodgers, but the Jets D willed them to victory. Now you got a Raider team coming in west to east, a 1 o'clock start, home opener for the Bills. My true numbers have it right here at 9-47, currently 9.5 and 47. Josh McDaniels, Jimmy G, both have struggled. He'll have the pressure here on the defense, putting pressure on Jimmy G. Josh Jacobs looked pretty well. Good. Jacoby Myers, 2 touchdowns now in concussion protocol. They'll need Hunter Renfrow there. It's, I don't want to say a must win for the Bills, but it's a must win for the Bills. The Raiders can come in here, play with house money, and basically, they come out of here 1-1. Well, that's what was expected. Or they come in here and steal this game 2-0 with an 0-2 Bills team. I took the Bills minus the 9. I bought the hook. It's a game where the Bills should step on their neck early, get a big halftime lead, and let the defense ride. It will be interesting. I mean, does Josh Allen make up for the loss with a big time win here? Stephon Diggs, Kincaid, Gabe Davis, Mr. Cook himself. Defense will prevail here, and I'm taking the Bills minus the 9 pups.
All right, I like it. I think that's a smart play, because the Raiders can fool all of us, and then it turns into a disaster zone. We know that. We've been here before, where the Raiders go back east, and you'll get excited about the spreads you see on the Raiders, but there's a reason why they laid a spread like that, because the Raiders are a terrible team at 10 o'clock in the morning back east. It's just fact, and they've had that issue in all northeast situations over the last few years. Went and played a bad Jets team a few years ago, lost that game. So I totally understand your thinking coming into this. And we know the disasters that they've had in New England over the years going back east as well too. So that's just things that you know that what to expect with the Raiders. That's why the spread looks like this. But we'll see how it goes. I just need a cover. I don't need a win. So we'll just go from there. Let's go ahead and jump into the Chargers, 0-1, going against the Titans, 0-1. You know that the Chargers are the team. They're not my team, Jeff, but I am kind of covering them this year. You know what I mean? Because they're the local team, and I feel like they are a team that has the possibilities of going to far places this year and making sure, I'm on top of it. But all in all, what I can tell you from last week, that defense was the reason why they didn't win that game. You're going to put it on the coach. You're going to put it on Herbert. Herbert did everything possible to win them that game last week. And the running game finally was a very balanced running game. Eckler looked good. Josh Kelly looked good. You had said his name, but I knew you meant Josh Allen. You had mentioned Josh Kelly, but he was balling last week. He did pretty good. He scored a touchdown. We didn't get any Elijah Dotson in there, and I think that he might be inserted into some things next week. But the Rams need to use these new playmakers that they got. Quentin Johnston and Darius Davis could have been a big difference. You could have used Darius Davis like Miami used Tyreek Hill against you. And I feel like maybe Kellen Moore is a little bit too conservative coming into this role early because he doesn't have to be as cute with the Chargers as he was with the Cowboys, because the Cowboys, he has a micromanager with the Cowboys. In LA, he doesn't have that. He's damn near like a head coach. And so you gotta mix this thing up a little bit. But Derwin James said it best. They have to get off the field on third down. If you're not getting off the field on third down, it doesn't matter what your offense is doing. You're failing them. And that's exactly what happened with the Chargers Sunday, is that they had no answer for Tyreek Hill. And that was a damn shame. And it really was because you didn't get much from Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. They have to be better. It's that simple. Those guys are seen as future Hall of Famers. They get paid a lot of money to rush the passer. They're seen as two of the top pass rushers in the NFL, not top 10, top 5. And they did not show up on Sunday. It's that simple. And Derwin James' coverage was kind of off, but he had to make up for a lot of mistakes that his comrades were making as well too. So all in all, the game could have went either way. So it's a great learning experience for the Chargers moving forward. And it shows us that the Chargers are a legitimate team and the Dolphins are a legitimate team, and they will meet again. The Titans going into their game, the Titans kind of were in a situation where they were very, I would say, nervous in a sense, because they didn't know what to expect with their quarterback. They didn't know what to expect with their running back because everybody's been kind of chilling on the sideline all preseason. But they played till the very final whistle. And that's one thing that is tricky for the Chargers going into this game. That's why you're laying out the spread at 3. But the way that the talent looks on the board, you would want the Chargers at 5.5, 6. But the Chargers aren't one of those teams yet. So having them at 3 is a pretty good look. But I'm going to keep it real with you, Jeff. I say that you can't do anything spread-wise with the Chargers if you like them. I like them, so I'm going to take them on the money line with the minus 150 on Sunday. It's probably going to creep down a little bit because we know that, once again, the Titans are going to be seen as the tricky dog, the dog bet of the week for some people, and they'll go from there. But I'm taking the Chargers with the minus 152, even up their record at 1-1. Your thoughts?
My true number is 3-46. It has now creeped to 3.5 at circa 3 everywhere else with a 45. If you were watching the Titans game, they got robbed. They were up 3, and the Saints were driving, and they got a strip sack on. Actually, it was a bare hand throw by Derek Carr. Titans picked it up, ran it back 85 yards for a touchdown. Should have put them up 10, and miraculously they overturned it. And, of course, the Saints tie it, and they go on to win the game. The Titans should be 1-0 right now. But, of course, Tannehill with his 3 picks being Tannehill. Derrick Henry looked very good. The Titans' front 7 looked fabulous. Overall, I was very impressed with what I saw, and I'm taking the home dog here, plus the 3.5. Even though I like the Chargers here, I like everything, obviously, with Justin Herbert. Big Mike doing Big Mike things already in concussion protocol and banged up. Look for Quentin Johnson to come up big here. Joshua Palmer to come up big here. Good two-headed monster with Eckler and Joshua Kelly. I look for a high-scoring game. I took the hook here to 3.5. Wouldn't be shocked here. Final score, I'll go 27-24. But I like the Titans to cover this in their home opener.
That's why I'm up in here talking about putting it up the way that I put it up. Chargers just win straight up because they'll win this game by 1 or 2 or 3 and really irk you. This game is going to be close, just like every time the Titans and Chargers meet up. It's always a great game between these two teams, and that's something that nobody really talks about that much. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take another quick commercial break, and when we get back, we got late games to talk about, and we got Jeff's favorite coming up first too as well, Mr. Patrick. I call him Patricia, but Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and the Jags. So we have a lot to talk about in that one. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with Pop DBICB Primetime Capper and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. We'll be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back, and it is time to go over what is probably the game of the morning. And this is funny that this game isn't a Sunday night football game, but we know I'm starting to realize Sunday night football's whole program, you have to be a draw. It's that simple. And in the first 6 weeks of the season, all those teams are draws. It doesn't matter what their record is, who's on the team. Those teams are draws. That's why those games are draws. This game isn't a draw. It's just a really good NFL game. And that's going to be the Chiefs and the Jaguars. Chiefs coming in here 0-1, Jaguars 1-0. We can say Chiefs had to have themselves a tough game because, they're playing against a team that's expected to win a division championship, while the Jags played against a team that's expected to be drafted in the top 10 next year. So, 2 different games. But I'm going to tell you like this, the Jags took care of their business the way that they were supposed to. And I know it's early to say this, but I already was heavy on it. But Mr. Trevor Lawrence looked like an MVP candidate for real, like the front runner now, because he is so confident now. He looks just like the guy he was at Clemson. And that's scary for the NFL. That's super scary. Calvin Ridley is an asset. He's a big-time player. You still got Etienne, one of the more versatile running backs, top 5 this year, and I'm still kicking myself for not taking him in the 3rd round. He was sitting right there for me, but I said I thought they was going to show me some love this year and scoot him down like we did last year. He was last year's Jahmyr Gibbs. A lot of people don't know that, though. You know what I mean? So I love the Jags going into this game. They play great football. They got this whole chemistry thing going in the right direction. The Chiefs, to me, are still hobbling and still going through the motions of the first part of the season. This is why I keep saying the first 2-3 weeks of the season is extended preseason for the really good teams who are flat. It's just extended preseason. They're going to get it together, and they're going to be great once they get everybody fully healthy. The Chiefs are not healthy right now. It's proven that Travis Kelce is a dynamic figure to that offense at the end of the day. He makes up for about 3 of those receivers who were inept last Thursday. So the status of him, regardless of what they want to say, is still 50-50. He still has a bone bruise. That's not a easy injury to come back from. He's not Superman. He's getting up there in years. I don't feel like this is the week to say, okay, the Chiefs going to get my money back if I'm a bettor. I feel like the Chiefs are still going to struggle because you have a Jags team with a chip on their shoulder from getting put out in the playoffs by you last year as well, too. And this is almost a layup to a team getting their bounce back revenge spot win. And I'm taking the Jags with the plus 130 here. Jeff, your thoughts?
Team coming off a opening Thursday night loss, extra time to rest. Hopefully Travis Kelce comes back. As you said with the Jags, I loved what I saw with Lawrence, ETN, Ridley, Zay Jones, another big-time game. Christian Kirk, nowhere to be found. Evan Ingram chipped in. A team home opener. Most people will probably grab the Jags in the money line. I love where your eyes are. I just flipped the script. I said, you know what? I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take the Chiefs to find a way to win in the money line here, take the points out of play. Again, this reminds me, Pops, last year when Dallas came in to Jacksonville and had the game won and then back-to-back turnovers by Dak, and the Jags find a way to bring the game to overtime and then a pick six to win the game. So I'm expecting Mahomes to find a way. I think they'll get Pacheco more involved. Hopefully they figure out the wide receiving core, who's going to make the plays, who's not going to make the plays. Keep Kadarius Toney off the field. Maybe they'll find a way to get Sky more and more involved. And hopefully Travis Kelce does play. If Kelce does not play, then I definitely like where your eyes are. But I'm going to go Kelce will play and Chiefs find a way. And I took the money line here, Pops.
All right. So Jeff is going to be taking the Chiefs on the money line there. He got some at minus 150 here. And so that just pretty much says that if me and Jeff are on separate sides here, that means that it's a 50-50 bet. I promise you, every single time Jeff takes the other team, I take the other team. It's always a 50-50 bet. If we take the same team, I think that's the consensus for America sometimes as well, too. But we'll get wise on y'all. It won't be the consensus to America. That's why you come watch us, and that's why you go talk about, that's why you critique the others, but you listen to us. We love you for that. All right, so you get what I'm saying, right, Jeff? Everybody else got, you don't know what you're talking about. But when it comes to me and you, nobody says, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. They just say, oh, you didn't get it right, or you nailed it. It's that simple. I see it in our comments on things all the time. And I want to thank everybody for all the views. Views are up big time right now. Over 5K views in the last 10 days or so from just active, a whole lot of videos coming out. So thank you guys very much. Keep retweeting, keep sharing. Let's get these numbers up. All right, let's get to my favorite portion of the show, and that's the afternoon games. This is where you make your fortune at, Jeff, in my opinion. If you can master afternoon games, you should be good. Because if you love afternoon games, you don't take a lot of morning games. You got to go off the vibe of the day. You know what I mean? If you see a lot of favorites winning in the morning, be expecting dogs to win late in the day. You see a lot of dogs winning early in the day, expect a lot of favorites to win late in the day. It just works out like that. But one thing is, never go reaching. That's if you already getting your ass kicked in the morning, you're getting your ass kicked. Just let it go, okay? And maybe think about Sunday night football. But all in all, just take your ass kicking and move on. That's what me and Jeff always like to say. Because Jeff always uses the phrase "quicksand Sunday," and I know I'm kind of jumping the gun, saying something that you say, but I always love when you say that. Because when we first were doing these shows, it was always something that Jeff would say that made me feel that much better when I was making bad bets. So, quicksand Sundays will have the bookie at your front door very quickly if you don't go about it the correct way. If you're getting beat up on in Sunday morning and you start seeing a line get way too sexy in the afternoon, let it go. Leave it alone. Because that's the sucker bet. That's what they're trying to get you keyed in on. But let's talk about games. That's what we're here for. Let me get into it. Jeff, I'm going to let you kick this one off. Giants, Cardinals, your thoughts on this one?
We talked backstage about the Giants, and it doesn't matter if they lost 40-0 or 29-28 on a walk-off. You just got to turn the page, throw the tape out. The game was lost in the first quarter. It is what it is. Now you get the layup game, supposedly. It's a Giant season here. You cannot go into Arizona and lay an egg and start the year 0-2. I'm looking for my true numbers here, and I had a 4.5 with a 38, already up to a 5.5 and a 40. I'm going to have to establish Barkley early, get Daniel Jones comfortable, Waller, maybe add an Isaiah Hodgkins. Go out and find that rookie Jalen Hyatt. Send him to the mailbox the first play. Get yourself established. Got to get in there early and often. You can't be playing from behind like you did. I bought the hook. I took the Giants down to 5. I'm looking right now. Let me just give you a final score. 38, now 40. I'll go 24-17 Giants here, Pops.
All right. I like it. And don't get mad at me, Jeff. I'm over here. I'm putting up your play right now. For some odd reason, it did make the screen. But Jeff is once again taking the Giants at 5 with the 5. I'm going to go ahead and I'm piggybacking off that situation as well, too, with the 5.5. Jeff, I'm going to keep the hook. And I just think that, the Giants, after getting whooped by 40 points, they should be able to get themselves back into the mix, have a good game. Brian DeBall can go ahead and kind of, taper down the playbook a little bit so Daniel Jones doesn't have to do so much. And I really want Daniel Jones to stop running. Like, seriously. Saquon Barkley is a weapon. Why is he having to keep blocking for the quarterback to run? Is the quarterback faster than him, Jeff? Is he? No, he is not. So the same silly plays that you keep running for Daniel Jones, you can run for Saquon Barkley. Why don't the Giants just do themselves a favor and trade him and go get some assets for him? There's 4 teams right now that can use Saquon Barkley that are trying to win a Super Bowl. If I was somebody like the Chargers or something, what do you want for him? Because that's who I need. That's who I need. I need that leadership in my locker room. I don't need somebody. I don't need this Ivy League school quarterback, game manager to think that he's Michael Vick every week, because he's not. Daniel Jones is the reason why this team can't do anything, in my opinion. That's the reason why they're going to keep being who they are, a middling team that surprises you every other week. You have to take advantage of your superstars. That goes back to the play caller. I like the ball, but I feel like you're getting a little bit too dictatory, and it's not going to work for the Giants moving forward. You don't have a lot of rope in New York. They'll love you one day, they'll hate you the next. That's how it goes in New York City. And I don't know if he got the memo for that. You have to let your playmakers play, Jeff. You have to let them ball. You have to let them kill. You have to let them set and dictate the game for you. Daniel Jones is not your star player. He's a game manager. Stop putting so much on this dude. He's not changing the wheel. He is a very basic quarterback that's very overpaid because the Giants don't want to keep looking for a quarterback. He just goes about his job the right way. Good little soldier. Good little soldier is not going to win you anything, okay? At the end of the day. As Bill Belichick used to like to say, give me a 6'1" corner, 210, who can cover, because that's where the game's going. I don't want a 5'9" corner with heart. I don't want that with a good with a good IQ. Why? Because he's a mismatch. He's going to get killed. It doesn't matter what he's going to make a few plays. You know what I mean? That Joe Buckingham will highlight. It doesn't help me win football games, and that's what I'm thinking with the Giants. But my analyst for the game, Cardinals stink. Okay, they're not playing to win any football games. And that pretty much was shown last week. They could have won that game, but they weren't playing to win. It's that simple. And so it's obvious that I'm not going to say it's obvious that they're tanking, but they just aren't that forward about winning at this point. So they'll show some effort because it's opening game. They might even open up with the lead, but the Giants will figure out a way to run the clock, get themselves a 10-point lead, and we all go home fairly easily. And that's that. 5.5 to the Giants, and we rolling from there. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward, talk about our next game in hand. And this will be none other than the Jets and the Cowboys. And the Jets and the Cowboys are two teams that we both know are going to be getting a whole lot of love and a whole lot of action here because this game is one of those games. You know what I mean? And that game is something that, you know, a lot of people are going to be very excited about because it's the Jets and the Cowboys. Even though you don't get Aaron Rodgers in the game, you still got the Jets and the Cowboys, and you got some storyline to it. But truly, in a sense, I had to change my pick on this one, and that's why I'm kind of messing with it right now because I had to get out of the idea. Because at first, when I first saw the line, I was like, you know what? It's Aaron Rodgers against the Cowboys. He's their daddy. He's the landlord of Jerry's World. He's not going to lose to them. Then he gets hurt, and things get a little different. You know what I mean, Jeff? Things get different. Things get a little spotty. So that 3-point spread there is not real. That's not happening. This is going to 7.5 to 8. Jeff, you know this. They're probably going to be the highest spread of the day. And yes,
let me just interrupt because the official number as we speak at Circa is 9.5 with the 39.5.
Right. So don't get mad at me who's watching the show. This isn't the line. This is the opening line. And this is what I have to go with because it's the opening line. But even with that, I'll still take the Cowboys at 9.5. How about that? You know what I mean? Because I feel like the Cowboys will win this game. There's not much to talk about here. The Cowboys defense absolutely was tremendous. That doesn't mean they'll be the same defense next week, but let's keep it real. This offense is a little bit more inept than the Giants were. The Giants just got slapped upside the head and went home and took their ball and went home. The Jets don't really have a hope on the offensive end. That's the whole thing. And, you know, how many times can you get a ball to Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook? You know what I mean? And I just truly feel this is going to be a game where the Cowboys just take their time. They don't even have to score 40 points. They just need to take their time, make it a conservative game, and it's going to be easy work. It's that simple. So I'm taking the Cowboys in this one. Jeff, give us your thoughts on the Jets.
Right now, as we speak, I had a number of 8-42. Again, it's down. It's at 9.5 to 39.5. This game changes tremendously. But the one thing that we can't sleep on is two parts here. Number one, people remember what they saw last in Dallas. Sunday Night Football, absolute monster defensive effort. And Dak didn't really have to do much. Now we saw Aaron Rodgers running through the tunnel with the U.S. flag, and then 4 plays later, out for the season with a torn Achilles. The defense willed the Jets to a victory. Short week, and now you got to go to Dallas. This will probably be 9.5. I don't think the Sharps will allow this game to go to 10. Listen, I know it's Zach Wilson. I do. But defenses travel, and we know Dak has a history of throwing picks as well. I'll use the 9.5 here. I'll buy the hook. I'll take the Jets plus 10. Hopefully Wilson doesn't throw a lot of picks. Hopefully Breece Hall does something. Garrett Wilson does something. I know the defense will do something. So give me the Jets plus 10, Pops.
Hey, you know what, Jeff? And you got great ideology with this. Let me give you a great example of why you're on to something here. Broncos a few years ago, just a good defensive team. Basic offense. They went in there and beat them 30 to 30 to 6. They were up 30 to zip at the half. And and they literally did it on all defensive plays. They didn't do it because the offense went out there and did anything. They did it because the defense locked it up. So the Jets defense can possibly have a little run, and that can affect things in this game. So if you're taking the Jets, don't be scared to take them. They're a very confident play in reality, because what you're doing is that you're betting with the book. You're betting against the liability, because the Cowboys are about to be the liability on Sunday for every book, and we know this. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the Commanders and the Broncos. This was a Super Bowl matchup years ago, and it was a historic matchup because it featured the first ever winning black quarterback in Doug Williams. John Elway and the crew should have won that one, man. The Washington was awesome that year, but damn, all those. If anybody really had to redeem themselves, it was John Elway. Because if John Elway doesn't win those 2 Super Bowls, they would have been harder on him than they're harder on Charles Barkley, dude. Seriously, but he would have the excuse. Oh, he didn't have anybody. It was just him. Yeah, he had plenty of people. Jeff knows that too. You have plenty of folks catching the ball and doing all types of great things for you. But the Commanders coming here 1-0. They were the biggest liability in the survivor pool for Circa. You know that, right? They had the most bets. That everybody took the Commanders. And we told you on the show, you better watch taking Washington, because if the Cards win any game this season, it'll be the first game of the season. And that's exactly kind of. They avoided that. But you got the Broncos 0-1, 3.5 spread to the Broncos, over under 40.5. This is where we get into how week 2 can trick you. You got a Commanders team 1-0, but they're playing against a team that's predicted to draft number 1. The Broncos lost because of a mishap. Literally, it just was a mistake made within the game. That's all it is. And the difference between them winning and losing last week. And it was kind of sad, but it was a good learning lesson for this team. That's why I said, don't worry about the Broncos. The Broncos aren't a bad team still. They just had a little bit of stage fright during their rehearsal. That was a dress rehearsal for them, in a sense. And let's keep it real. That's how we have to look at week 1. We can't look at week 1 as if, these are our Super Bowl bets. No, they're not. They're just they're just teams that played really well for that week. So this week is going to be different. And I really, truly feel that this is going to be one of those games where you can go ahead and make up for the BS that happened to the Broncos last week. This is a game that's tailor-made for their defense to shine in it. And that's exactly what Russell Wilson needs. He needs to have this defense getting teams off the field 3 and out, so he can play with the confidence knowing that his defense has his back. And so I truly do like the Broncos in this spot to bounce back, and I don't ever see them losing 2 in a row at the Mile High. So I'm taking them with the 3.5 here. I know it's a little tricky, but I think they win by double digits or better, and I'm going to use them as one of my alternate line bets and probably kick this bad boy up to about 5.5, Jeff, so I can get me about a plus 160 on this bad boy. You know what I mean, man? So I think they win by a touchdown or better. The 3.5 is absolute love, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
This is one of the stinkier lines of the week, obviously. Denver coming off a heartbreaking loss to the Raiders. Yep, my true number is 3 with a 39. It's now 3.5 with a 39. It stinks to high heaven, Pops. It really does. We all expect exactly what you just said, the bounce back. There's no way that Denver's going to start the year 0-2 with Sean Payton. Russell looked great. Let's start there. No Jerry Jeudy. Javonte Williams looked good. I'll just be honest with you here, Pops. I took the 3. I bought the hook. But this one smells like the Rams in Seattle last week. It really does. It makes 0 sense. This number should be 5, 5.5, like you said. Just buyer beware here. Broncos should win. They should handle business, but something leads me to believe something smells fishy here. So just be careful here. Broncos hopefully find a way to win, cover the spread. But just beware here. That's all, Pops.
All right. So with that, we're going to take one last commercial break, and then we got the fourth quarter coming. We got our national games that we got to talk about, and we got to talk about the good old rivalry between the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams kicking off the SoFi opener. So you guys stay tuned. We will be right back to you with the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and our great co-host, the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, my brother from another. All right, so let's go ahead. 49ers, Rams, let's talk about it. Plus 6.5 to the Rams. I called this spread out when I did my own Pop DiBiase lines and things like that. But the over-under is a little high for me. 50.5. I think that's a bit much with the points, but we'll see. Jeff, I'll let you kick this one off. What are your thoughts on this now kind of early season NFC West showdown? Because both teams are undefeated coming into the game. What are your thoughts?
Oh, my true numbers here had a 7 with a 44. It is now 8 with a 45.5. I think the 49ers are already minus 550 to win this division. Hats off to McVay and the Rams. They came in a lockdown second half performance in Seattle. Now they come home to their home opener. It was a Rams team that we talked about last week with the Cardinals that looked destined for the bottom. Yet they come in here with some momentum. Tutu Atwell and Puku stars in the first week. Stafford looking like Stafford. Corinne Williams, a running back that most don't have or even know who they were. Take a look on your waiver wires there for a nice stash this week there. Number overreaction. The initial Vegas had this one at right around 27-20, not even. Let me see, 24-17, 28-20. But with that said, it's going to be a Rams defense versus Brock Purdy and this, Nick Bosa defense there. So I like the Rams to keep it close, but I bought the half point. And I took the 49ers, hopefully to win by a touchdown, Pops.
All right. So Jeff is riding with the 49ers in this one. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Jeff is on the 49ers. Let me put his pick up there first. Says he broke that down so eloquently that I don't really have to say that much. My whole thought process about this is this. I'm going to be real simple about this, Jeff, and I know this for fact. San Francisco owns SoFi, okay? That's just that simple. And Shanahan literally is the landlord of this place at this point. And he was the landlord of the LA Coliseum as well, too. So it's been an ongoing trend with San Francisco traveling to Los Angeles and taking over. And this has been a custom that I've seen since 1988, Monday Night Football, John Taylor, Big A, 289 yards. So it's been that process my whole life, literally, when the 49ers come to Los Angeles. Even when they're a bad team, they still figure out a way to beat the Rams. The Rams, you had a great week one. You surprised the world that y'all ain't no punks, that y'all not going to lay down for anybody, but we expected that because Sean McVay is a competitor. He's a winner, but he doesn't have the roster to keep up with the elites of the NFL, and it's going to show up on Sunday. So I'm taking the Niners with you as well, too, on the 6.5. So that's where I'm going in that spot. Jeff is taking the -6. So we need him by a touchdown or better. But I even get cute with this one as well, too, Jeff, and do a alternate line that's 8.5, something of that nature, because I feel like the Niners absolutely do the same thing they did to the Steelers last week. They make it a bloodbath, and we're done by the fourth quarter, and we're moving on. All right, so, but I can't be as bad as our boy Orvalowski. Oh, they lost. Oh, he was terrible. Like, Rams fans are going to hate you forever. Like, oh, no Cooper Kupp, no chance. Okay. Okay, let's keep talking about these guys as if they're not good enough to be in the NFL. You guys got to stop that. This isn't rec ball. This isn't the college football. This is the NFL. The only way you can make the team is to show that you have some superior skills. It doesn't matter how low you are on the food chain when you're on that roster. And Jeff, you know that. And I'm going to let you kick this off as well, too. Since it's the Patriots, brother, go ahead and give us some love on what's going on Sunday night. And where's the actual the tailgating party going to be at as well, too?
Well, I won't be there. Trust me on that one. Our sheet had a Miami -2 with a 48. It's down to 2 with a 46.5. A Patriot team that started out 16-0 deficit and then honestly controlled the last three quarters, had an opportunity to not just tie but win the game, and came up a toe tap short of getting the first down and keeping the drive alive. A Miami Dolphin team that traveled out to LA, and just a classic there. Tua to Hill was the combination you needed for the DK Millie last Sunday. I always trust and respect the opening line. Patriots getting a lot of moral victories, and I think Vegas is saying there's going to be another moral victory to next Sunday, and Miami winning and maybe the Patriots covering. It's telling us right away 24-20, 24-21, somewhere in that. I bought the hook. I took the Pats to 3, hoping for a moral victory. But, if they don't slow down Hill, maybe it's the Jalen Waddle show, Mozart, maybe a Devin Achane game. We don't know. Maybe it's the revenge game for Mike Gesicki. Hunter Henry looked great for the Pats as well. Kendrick Bourne, 2 touchdowns. Just be careful here. Took the Pats +3. Wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins came in and won by 4, Pops.
Well, Jeff is on the Pats, and that is respectful. And that's still Jeff keeping his Miami eyes open a little bit. You know what I mean? Because Miami's the best team in the East. Argue with yourself. They're the best team in the division, straight up, for at least the first week. And it's gonna be tough. This is gonna be tough. But you know what? In Bill, we trust. I'm taking the Pats 2.5. I'm taking the Pats to actually win the game, but I do like the 2.5 to make things close. What's going to happen is everybody hates the Patriots. Like everybody hates Chris. Well, they feel the same way about the Patriots, okay? And everybody's going to have this idea that Tyreek Hill is going to have a duplicate game that he had in L.A. It's not even going to come close to the game that he had in L.A. We both know this, Jeff. Belichick already has the quadruple team set up for him. It doesn't matter. And I would say this, the Pats have a better pass rush right now than the Chargers do, because the Chargers are dependent on 2 guys. The Patriots have always been a 4-man front. We don't blitz that much. We're going to tear your offensive line up. It's that simple. And so I feel like this is a different defensive matchup for Tua in the game, and it's going to be tough because things aren't going to be as easy as they were in LA when you were playing against the Chargers. I think that absolutely plays to the strength of the Patriots. I'm taking them with the plus 2.5. I really like them going into this game. And it's a Sunday night football game too, Jeff. You know that we got to flip it back and forth, back and forth. You know, one week it's a favorite, the next week it'll be a dog. And look, we got a dog here, and it's a small dog. So it makes all the sense in the world that the small dog wins the game. And can we get a roof? You know what I mean? So it is what it is. You ain't like our other dog, because if I say a woof, that dog would have been all over it. All right, but that dog was more of a was like a Giants fan, wasn't it? Because I think every time I talked about the Giants, it would go a little crazy about them. All right, let's talk about Monday Night Football. We got doubleheader going on, 2 divisional games. Jeff, look at that. You know, we got one that's kind of whatever game. This is really a prime Amazon Thursday game, but you know, they first pick in the draft. They're always going to feature the first pick in the draft on Monday Night Football. We know that's going to happen. So it happens. All right. And then we got the Saints, a team that's debuting on prime time with their brand new quarterback in Derek Carr. And this is a game that's going to turn into one of those games where everybody is going to look at what they saw last week and say, I can't take the Panthers. I can't touch them with a 10-foot pole. But let's go off of what's happened the last 2 years in Carolina when New Orleans came to town. It's been a house of horrors for this team. Derek Carr playing in a national television spot. Derek Carr playing in a game that he's supposed to win. You can never trust that dude. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go ahead and take Mr. Heisman himself, Mr. Modern Day himself, Alabama's best quarterback since Cool Joe Namath. I'm going to take Bryce Young and the Kitty Cats to go ahead and get the plus 3.5 to cover for the Panthers. Jeff, your thoughts?
Opening number 3 and 39.5. When there's a double header and you got 2 home dogs, usually what ends up happening here is one wins outright and one loses. I trust and respect the opening number, not so fast here. I think the Saints were very fortunate to win the first game. I liked what I saw from Carolina and Mr. Young. He showed flashes. I just came up short here. I like the 3.5. I bought the hook here, minus the 120. But again, if you wanted my dog of the night, I think the Panthers not only cover, but they win outright, Pops.
I think that, you know, the way ESPN is setting the scripts up on these games, they have to win, right? Right? Because, you know, you got something to talk about tomorrow morning. You know, we didn't know we were going to be talking about a Jets win this morning. We thought we were going to be talking about, well, it's all bad in New York now. No, it's all bad in Buffalo now. You know what I mean? So, you know how fortunes change. But yeah, we will rock with that, and pretty much let's move forward to our final game. And I can look at Jeff's face and tell that I need to hurry this up. Let's get to the final game. So it's Monday Night Football, ABC, the good old Monday Night Football Network. You know it must be a special game if they got to put it on ABC now, Jeff. You know that. But once again, the reason why the Browns and the Steelers are one of the biggest draws in the NFL because it's one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL. So when they show them, they're going to always get their national television game, Jeff. It's not never going to happen. You know what I mean? So we get it on Monday Night Football this year. And I think Joe Buck, they send in Joe Buck and Troy to this one, right? And you send Pop and Jeff to the Carolina game, the broadcast. But so all in all, this game right here is a fool's gold game. That's why I got the Steelers as the -1. There's no way the Browns are going into Pittsburgh as the favorite in this game. It doesn't matter, Jeff, that they had one of the greatest defensive performances since the 60s the other night against the Burrow in the game, because I have never seen Cleveland's defense be that good in a football game in the last 20 some odd years since they've been back since 1999. They haven't had a defensive unit this good ever since that point. And this defensive unit absolutely showed up. And it was because Schwartz is a guy that understands how to rush the passer, and you don't have to worry about sacking him. You just make his job a lot more difficult, because I'd much rather see a guy get sacked than a guy throw the ball, release the ball too fast and throw a pick six. You know what I mean? Because at least I'm getting another chance. But the Browns defense is trying to be that defense that makes you rethink about passing the ball. Because as a great coach once said, you can only do one good thing with passing. That's complete a pass. The other two things are mistakes. It's either interception or a drop pass. So your options weigh very, very thin in the pass game. And that's how I feel going into this one with the Steelers. I thought their quarterback was ready, but he's not. Or just, let's keep it real. San Francisco, just like Dallas, they played with a big-ass chip on their shoulder, a mountain on their shoulder. And the first team that they seen, they want to rip apart. And that's exactly what happened last Sunday. So, as we say at the track, Jeff, just draw a line through the performance, right, with the Steelers. So that's what we're giving them, a clean slate, because San Francisco is one of the better teams in the league. They didn't get popped up by, Jacksonville, or not Jacksonville, but they didn't get popped up by the Cardinals or anybody. They got beat by a team that's seen as a Super Bowl contender. So this is going to be one of the better games of the week, but I truly do feel that the Browns' confidence level is at the right point, and they got the right quarterback. They got everything in motion, and their running game is going to be the defining factor. The better running game wins this game. This is an old school AFC Central, AFC North matchup right here. This is an OG NFL matchup that's coming up, and they thought that they had too much defense last night. Wait till we watch this game. I'm taking the Browns as the money line plus 100. They'll be even money by kickoff, Jeff. I promise you that.
Well, I got a true number of 2 with a 41, now 2.5 at circa with a 40. And listen, a lot of steam was coming in with the preseason with the Steelers. Listen, it was a bad matchup for them. And the 49ers got out early. Pickett looked awful. It just like the Giants and a few other teams, you just throw that script away. Now, the funny thing is that the Browns come in 2-point favorites. So they beat Cool Joe in a monsoon. And now they come in Monday night, 2-point favorites, now 2.5. Something smells fishy here. As I says, I think the Panthers win outright. And I think most people will take both dogs on Monday. One's going to win outright. And this one here, I took the Steelers plus 1.5. I'm going to tell you right now, even though I took the Steelers plus 1.5, the Browns are the right side in this game. Trust me on that. I'm just trying to save face here with the Steelers. Tomlin never had a losing year. I think probably the Steelers start 0-2 here. I'm taking the Steelers plus 1.5. We'll be recapping this one real quick next week. Wouldn't be shocked the Browns come in, win 23-20 on a York field goal at the buzzer.
Well, that will be Hopkins now. York is gone.
Yeah, Hopkins. Yes.
Yeah, because Hopkins came in and was like, he's the MVP of the team now. Because, the Browns, they love kickers. You know what I mean? If you're an accurate kicker, you're going to be on the team for the next decade, as Phil Dawson. You know what I mean? But if you're a bad kicker, of course, they're going to be like, he's not dependable. Even though Cade York did hit a 59-yard walk-off in his first ever game last year. But you know what? It's a what have you done for me lately league, especially when it comes to the kicker position. Well, Jeff, we don't have any more games. It's a wrap once again. Awesome analysts. Great show. Always love being your co-pilot in a sense. You know what I mean? So pretty much, I hope that everybody enjoyed the show. You guys know that I'll have all the clips up of every single game, so you don't have to sit here watching a whole show. And you guys can catch my man Jeff over at East Coast Sports Investors, on the Twitter. And you guys can also get that on your Instagram as well, too. Jeff, what is your TikTok? Because let's go ahead and put your TikTok out there as well, too, so people can watch your programming.
East Coast Sports Investors on most of the platforms, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it today. It's at EC Sports Invest. there, but you can get most of my social media platforms at East Coast Sports Investors. You can send me an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com or go to our website at eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. But as always a pleasure. Both of us first week gotten our feet wet, just a tad below 500, but this is the NFL. It's 18 weeks. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and we're ready to get ready for week 2, or as we'd like to say in our lanes, overreaction week 2. So just be careful on some teams that you were wrong on the first week. Usually means you need to jump back on them in the second week, but it's hard to do. But that's what you and I are here for, sir.
Right. Like I always say at the track, Jeff, if there's a horse that winds up finishing 3rd or 4th, and I really like them going into the race, when they put him back in the next race, he's a bet back. Let's see what you can do today, because I'm not going to hold that over your head. I'm going to give you some love. I'm going to see what you can do for me today, because that's what it's all about in the NFL. We go week to week. What can you do for me today? It ain't about last week. It ain't about the week before that. It's about what can you do for me today? And that's that. And this is the NFL Bet Exchange with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, the man himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And we bid adieu. Toodles. We gone. See you later. Have a great day. And if any questions, you guys know where to find me at. We gone.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by